Another great time tonight, and we are shining spotlights on a sector that touches the very foundation of human existence, growth, and development. Transformative efforts are underway in Nigeria's education sector, where varying reforms and initiatives are working in tune with the realities of the day. The Federal Ministry of Education is tirelessly striving to bring a sea of change in the way we teach, learn, and grow. This is Reshaping Democracy. I'm Ayodeji Makinde. Now, systematic program on educational gap analysis is providing the much-needed inroad to improving the data of out-of-school children, institutional requirements, teacher capacity, monitoring and evaluation, and most of all, total learning outcomes. These are some of the issues the Minister of State for Education, Professor Suwaiba Said Ahmed, says are being addressed to reposition the sector while answering citizens' questions harvested all over Nigeria.
I am Dr. Mustapha Babatunde Ajadi. My question to the Honorable Minister is, what specific reform are being implemented in the education system in Nigeria, and what measures are you putting in place to ensure that these policies are achieved?
Renewed Hope Agenda on Education. The major vision is inclusive, quality education for all. So coming on board, the first thing we did is to do like a gap analysis. Of course, we don't need to actually physically go out and collect data because there are a lot of researchers on the ground with regard to the quality of education in the country. I'm sure this is not a closed information. It's an information that is at the tip of everyone's hand. We have about 45 million children in Nigeria considered as learning poor. When we say learning poor, we're referring to these children are unable to read age-appropriate text. Apart from that also, it's also very obvious that there are other issues, but let's talk about the quality of teachers. So part of the quality of education, part of what we did is just to do the gap analysis and also to identify what are the major gaps in terms of effective implementation of the curriculum. Because if we have effective implementation of the curriculum, then the expected outcome should be improvement in learning outcome. So we did that, and we discovered that there are different factors that are affecting that. There are the teacher factor, there is infrastructure, there is administration, there is M&E, and also there is even the curriculum itself. So we designed specific interventions to address these different gaps that we identified. For instance, with regard to the teacher quality, with regard to the teacher capacity, we designed a teacher capacity building program. The teacher capacity building program, initially it's already on the ground. You beg as a co-founder of basic education, do give state money for teacher capacity building, but most of these resources, if you do the general mathematics, you discover that state can only maybe train about 10% of the teachers that they have within that state. And then when they do the training, the expectation is these teachers will go down to the school to do step-down training. But at the end of the day, you discover that, number one, the initial training done itself is not qualitative, in that the main objective of the training is not achieved. Most of the teachers go for that training with just the sole ambition that stipend will be given to them for the transportation and accommodation, and then there is no standardized training manual for these teachers. Each state is just designing its own manual for the training, whether it's qualitative or not qualitative. Nobody is playing that oversight function to ensure that the manual design fits into the needed training that the teachers require. So we decided that we have to develop, number one, a standard training manual for the teacher, which we did. And in developing this standard training manual, it's not just about doing what is happening in another country. No, we looked at our gaps in our structure. For instance, issue of value and morality, value of teaching, because some of the gap analysis with the teachers are in school but they are not in class. Teachers are in class but they are not teaching. And then apart from that, pedagogical content knowledge itself, you discover that most of these teachers lack the methodology, lack also the content knowledge. So we took that into cognizance also. And then apart from that also, there are edutainment. We call them a way of teaching the learner in such a way that it's not just about the content or theory, rather there is entertainment as part of it. It makes learning more interesting and it helps the learner to learn better.
My name is Dr. Lukman Bola Abdurauf from Kwara State University, Malete. The Honorable Minister, I want to ask, what initiative do you have for the girls' child education, particularly those in rural community and underserved areas?
The Lumina 2030 is a girl child initiative from the term Illuminate Her Path. We got the Lumina. Illuminate her path through education and economic empowerment. The program is designed to give access to girls that are either lives in areas that they don't have access to school, or for any reason girls that dropped out of school, or for any reason girls that have never been enrolled in school. There are different categories of girls that are not in school for different reasons. Number one, we design a selection criteria for the Lumina project, but for us is creating access. For the Lumina initiative, it has 3 phases. These phases are the root, stem, and the bloom. The root is targeting the mothers because we have our own theory of change. Our theory of change is that if a mother is economically empowered, she will be more open to ensuring that her girl is educated. Most of the girls, part of the baseline assessment or gap analysis that we did, we discovered that most of these girls, because of the poverty level, are sent into urban locations, either to hawk or to serve as house helps in the urban centers, because the family need that economic sustenance from their girls. So what we do for them is to ensure that by the time we economically empower the mother, then she can allow her daughter now to attend the Lumina school. The root, then the stem. If you are participating in the root, you must enroll your daughter, a neighbor, or even a relative. But you must enroll a girl child in the Lumina for you to participate in the root. While for the STEM, it's just your 9-year basic education. But instead of using your conventional curriculum, we are using accelerated basic education curriculum. We have an accelerated basic education that is a very standard curriculum. The 9-year basic education has now been summarized into 3 years. So 3 years of primary 1 to 3 into 1 year, 4 to 6 1 year, and JSS 1 to 3 1 year. Part of this, at the same time, the accelerated basic education, we are also including skill development for the girl. Just like we are giving skill to the mothers, we are also going to give skill training for these girls in these classes. Because if you look at the girls around, you discover that most of these girls are not even school-going age. Some are 10 years. You can't start a girl 10 years into a primary 1, or they may be more than that. So for the root, after the STEM, we have the bloom. The bloom is your SS1 to SS3 that has been summarized into 1 year. So at the end of the APEB, at the end of the Lumina, the APEB curriculum, you have 4 years that you obtain your 12-year basic education. Girls that have never been enrolled in school, when they are up to, let's say, 15 years, now within 4 years, can be able to finish school. If you say that this girl must go back to primary 1, they cannot finish. 9 years is too much. Their parents, and they will look at the time lag also, and they may not be open to participating in that. But APEB give them this opportunity. At the same time, it also give an opportunity for girls that have dropped out of school, early pregnancy, or for whatever reason you have dropped out of school. It can give you another pathway. Do your remedial class, and then go back and re-enroll into your conventional class. Maybe you drop out for a year or 2. Your mates are already ahead of you, and then you lack the basic knowledge to fit into their class. You can come into Lumina, do that 1 year that you require to supplement the missing gap, and then you can go back into your conventional school. We have a set criteria. We have an MOU with the state. Already we are piloting in 12 states. The state have been selected. 2 states from each of the 6 geopolitical zones. We are starting with 12 states. We have met with the commissioners of education. We are going further to meet with the state governors, although we have interacted already with the state governors. For this particular program, we are all set to start in September, God willing.
My name is Najat Aminu Sleman from Kano State. What are the plans in place to bridge the infrastructural gap in federal institutions, especially inadequate classroom, libraries, laboratory, for creation of conducive learning environment?
The federal government gives gives the policy direction, while the states are really the implementers. At the federal level, we only have the tertiary education, and then we have federal unity colleges, which are about 108 in number. But then actual education is the states that have ownership of the schools, have ownership of the students. But what we do is to give the policy direction. UBEC, if you look at the basic level, then UBEC is there to support the state, and that is why we have this counterpart funding, where states do 50% and then UBEC do 50%. As I earlier mentioned, we discovered that the way UBEC was designed in terms of the disbursement formula is too strict. It doesn't give room for context. It doesn't give room for flexibility. Each and every state has its peculiarity. Kano, with a large population, may probably require additional rooms, additional classes for their students to depopulate some of the large classes, while states that don't have large population may require just simple renovation and upgrade of existing structures. So the way now we review the disbursement formula is to ensure that it gives rooms for that. It gives room for state-specific intervention. That's number one. Number two, also, we design the UBEC funding to be P4R. Performance for reward. So now it's P4R. Issues around the building structures that are not solid and strong is not going to stand anymore. There is quality standardization to ensure that buildings for UBEC buildings are standard and qualitative and would stand the period of time and weather. At the same time, also at the federal level, just to support states and also support even how the states are utilizing this funding, we are doing school grading. The school grading, we have identified about 7 criteria for school grading, where we are going to grade each and every school. The grading looks at not just about infrastructure or wash facilities, but also about the teachers themselves, their quality, their competency, the school administration. We also looked at, apart from school administration, we're also looking at the learning outcome, achievement of these learners, both in internal examination and also in external examination. So a school will be graded. The main focus of this school grading is to be able to target intervention in school. If a school is lacking in terms of their teachers, then it will be obvious. And we have created a dashboard. Part of our overall agenda here is not just about improving, but also having data that can inform decision.
My name is Ibrahim Hussein from Kano State. Honorable Minister, my question is on access to education. What strategy is the ministry employing to identify and enroll out of school children, particularly in both rural and urban areas?
We have a lot of initiative on out-of-school enrollment. Number one, the first thing we did is we have a lot of agencies under the Ministry of Education. These agencies each has a mandate of, most of them are doing something on out-of-school children, but these activities are disjointed. Most of them, they are operating silos. So now we created a big technical working group. Every agency, the agency of Al-Majid and Out-of-School Commission, Nomadic Education Commission, UBEC, NMEC, that is Mass Education Commission, all of them are still part of that. And so we develop a holistic plan in terms of re-enrollment of out-of-school children. For instance, this National Commission for Al-Majid and Out-of-School Children, they have series of activities they are doing for this re-enrollment of school campaign. And at the federal level also, we are doing our own. So the commission, right now, what they are doing is they are mapping all out-of-school children. Al-Majri and Out-of-School Commission are mapping Al-Majri and Out-of-School children. Nomadic Commission are mapping all the nomads that are out of school, while the NMEC are also mapping all the adult learners that are out of school. That is between the ages of, not adult, yeah, we can call them like that, adults between the, children between the ages of 15 and 18 is done by NMEC. When we have this pool of students that are out of school, including their NIN, by the time you have the NIN, all the information that you need are there. Those that don't have a NIN, we are working together with NIMSI. So if you don't have a NIN and you're out of school, NIMSI will now enroll you in NIN so that we can have an identifier for that particular candidate. Of course, the men, we are going to do a massive enrollment campaign, which some of these children will be enrolled into school, but we realize that we have a gap. Our school, if you look at the number of out-of-school children that we have and the existing school, we may have a gap in terms of whether we have enough schools on the ground to to actually readmit now these students. As we are building additional school, we need to get where we are going to enroll this school. So we are going into PPP with private school, low-cost private school. So any low-cost private school that lives within a location where they have a lot of out-of-school children, because the school must be located. We want a walking distance, nothing more than, let's say, 1 kilometer, where the student can simply walk from their homes to the school. If it is low-cost school, then the government will pay that school to enroll this. But it has to be low-cost school. We have certain standards. We have developed criteria for schools to be included in that. But this is something that we have already started. The mapping is being done across the 36 state plus FCT.
How will you ensure data harmonization across different education databases and systems to improve planning, monitoring, and evaluation of the education programs?
Yeah, I have already mentioned that it's one of our big initiatives, the NADI initiative, Nigerian Education Data Initiative. Right now, we have already started. We have actually, right now, we have the data of 11 states. This data is not just about the state, but the local government, the school, the learner. We have up to the point of the learner. And the data is holistic. It has all the information you need. School facilities, wash facilities, number of students, that is even obvious, teachers and their qualification. Any information you need on education is already, we have already started. And this is digital, not manual. Initially, we have MEs and NEMIs, but the way they do it is they do the physical paper and pencil form of collecting data, and then when you do MS this year, before you get the data, it will be 2 years because of it's cumbersome translating the data from manual data now to digital data. But we have already created a platform where you enter all this information digitally, and that information, in fact, it's a live data. As schools are entering this data, the dashboard is actually recalibrating every 12 hours. So it's a live data. As you enter, it will you see 12 hours, it will update itself, and you can see the most recent data. This we have already done for 11 states, and we have plans for scaling it up to the 36 state plus FCT. This, I'm happy to report, is already been implemented.
What working conditions do you have to enhance the welfare of teachers and lecturers, and including their working conditions, their training for effectiveness in the classroom?
As a teacher, this is a very interesting question for me, and I will want to say that as a teacher, I'm happy to announce that right now we are working on special allowances for teachers. These special allowances include issues around rural location. As you are aware, we have problem with deployment of teachers. You see that the urban centers have more than the teachers they require. Well, if you go to the urban centers, rural centers, the rural school, you see that most of the rural school have limited number of teachers. You go to a school and they have only the head teacher and one additional teacher. So we are doing these special allowances for teachers, which cut across all levels. That is the basic level, post-basic, and even tertiary level. I don't want to let the cat out of the bag, but it's something that we are already working on. There is good news ahead for the teachers.
So this is work in progress.
It's work in progress. It's a good one. I'm happy with this one.
All right, let's move to the
just before you leave, just to mention that also for the tertiary teachers, that is teachers at universities and polytechnics and colleges of education, we have created a special loan for the teachers, interest-free loan up to the maximum of 10 million, zero interest. The government is paying for the interest with the Bank of Industry, and for this, there is also a moratorium of 2 years. You can collect the loan today, but you will start paying in the next 2 years just to get yourself. If you want to go into a business or whatever you want to do with the money, you can start seeing profit before you actually start paying back the loan. And it's zero interest, completely free. It's also targeting the welfare of the teachers.
My name is Comrade Bright Enya from Asaba, Delta State. Minister, what are the plans in place to address the funding challenges of unity schools nationwide? And what initiative will you implement to improve their infrastructure and academic performance?
for the teacher welfare package that we earlier talked about, when federal government does this, is for the federal teachers. But what we do is, so the welfare package, the special allowances for teachers is targeting our teachers, the federal government teachers. But then we'll talk to the state to support states also replicate whatever we are doing at the federal level. So for that, I have already answered that. But in fact, in terms of improving the infrastructure at the Federal Unity College, this 2025, we have put a special budget for all our unity schools, and we have actually created a Google form that the schools are to indicate where their gaps are, because each school have different level of decay or different level of gaps that they want to address. So we have already collected this data, and we are trying to now kickstart the process. But every unity school is going to be rehabilitated. It depends on what they requested from the ministry. We have this already in terms of the infrastructure. While in terms of the support that the federal government gives them in terms of overhead and feeding allowances, we have reached an agreement that the overhead and the feeding allowances that goes into these federal unity colleges will now be part of the special consideration, first line payment, so that every month they are the priority payment, so that they get their money as soon as possible. Yeah.
Honorable Minister, sir, Comrade Okolo Emmanuel is my name, from Asaba. I want to ask, what steps are you taking to harmonize the academic calendar of universities across Nigeria? And how will this improve the overall quality of education in the country?
It's good to do the harmonization of the calendar. And I can say that we find ourselves in this position where each university operates a different calendar because of the different striking activities. This school is on strike, they are on strike, so it disrupts our calendar. Ideally, there should be a uniform time that everybody knows when sessions start, when sessions end. But as I said, because of the different problems across board, strikes, sometimes a particular school is striking, it's affected the calendar. But gradually now, with this understanding between the government and the union, you can see that in the last 2 years, we have not had any strike. With this improvement in understanding between the government and the union, I think things will gradually improve and we'll reach there. We are not there yet, but with this, we can't say that, okay, everybody should stop activity now, we'll start activity in September. It's not going to be possible. But with now lack of strike, I think gradually this difference in calendar on when the session, it will be phased out, inshallah.
Surely, interventions to address these gaps in education sector is work in progress through a combined effort by education stakeholders, of course, championed by the Education Ministry, eye-catching measures such as standardization of teaching manual, curriculum review, digital literacy and welfare, and of course, teachers. For them, how about infrastructural renewal, special program for girl-child education, and massive school enrollment campaign? These are charting a new course in the Renaissance process. I'm Ayo Deji, marking it. It's time to go. See you again, same time next week. Bye-bye.
The Mosaic of